Introduction of Real Tanka, Part 8. Makurakotoba and Utamakura, redundant accessories in Japanese tanka that will make most modern readers simply frown or sneer. And Jokotoba, a subplot somewhat irrelevant to the substantial content of the poem, yet sometimes stands out as a symbolic prologue and resounding background to the main theme. Makurakotoba, plural adjectives, fixed precursors to certain nouns, originating from Nara era and rarely or never created afterwards. In 57577 Japanese syllables. Hisa kata no miyako no sora no hi no hikari ama no amagumo tsuyu hodo mo nashi. Hisa kata no, plural adjective, preceding such nouns as sora, the sky, hi, the sun, hikari, sunshine, kumo, clouds, ama, the heavens, ame, rain, hoshi, stars, tsuki, the moon, or miyako, the capital. Miyako, noun, the capital, metropolis, no postpositional particle possessive z of belonging to, sora, noun, the sky, no postpositional particle possessive z of belonging to, hi, noun, the sun, no postpositional particle possessive z of belonging to, hikari, noun, sunshine, light. The light of the sun in the sky of the capital. Ama, noun, the heavens, sky, no postpositional particle possessive z of belonging to, amagumo, noun, rain clouds, nimbuses, tsuyu, noun, dew, a tiny bit, hodo, postpositional particle, degree, to that extent, mo, postpositional particle, emphatic, not even, nashi, verb, do not exist. Not a bit of rain cloud is to be seen in the sky. In 544, not 57577 English words. The capital sky is fine, filled with brilliant sunshine, no nimbus suggesting rain. This is an example tanka with a Makurakotoba in it. Well, where in the world is it in the English translation above, you may wonder. The answer is, there's none. A Makurakotoba only exists in ancient Japanese poetry as a prelude to some fixed nouns. In this case, the opening phrase of the Japanese tanka, hisa kata no, has no meaning at all, except that it functions as an introduction to the succeeding term, miyako, the capital, which means this Makurakotoba, hisa kata no, has no legitimate place at all in its English translation, or for that matter, in modern Japanese translation either. And B. This ancient Makurakotoba, hisa kata no, is different from a similar modern Japanese expression, hisakata buri, meaning after a long separation. What then does hisa kata no mean, or where does it derive from? The answer is, we don't know. Even people in Heian-era Japan seems to have already lost track of its meaning or origin. What they and we do know for certain is that the phrase hisakata no is always used as a prelude to such words as sora, the sky, hi, the sun, hikari, sunshine, kumo, clouds, ama, the heavens, ame, rain, hoshi, stars, tsuki, the moon, or Miyako, the capital. Mysterious though it was, or rather mysterious as it was, people in Heian-era Japan kept using this type of seemingly meaningless prelude to certain nouns and called it Makurakotoba. Makura in this context means something meaningless or irrelevant to the main theme, placed as a cushion or a buffer zone, just to avoid getting straight into the topic that one really wants to discuss. Thus, when a poem starts with a Makurakotoba, ashi hiki no, it was to be followed by such nouns as yama, a mountain, or o, a ridge. Although people in Heian-era Japan didn't know the reason why. What they knew and cared about was how these terms were used, not knowing or even bothering why it was so. As a historical fact, practically all Makurakotoba was a product of Nara-era Japan, when words koto were believed to have direct influence on things koto they described. This idea, called kotodama, charms as spirits, might have been among the reasons why Makurakotoba, with indistinct origin and mysterious meaning and usage, still kept being used in Heian-era Japan, without ever trying to add new versions of Heianese Makurakotoba to the ancient Nara repertoire. Since quite a few Makurakotoba were as ancient and intangible to Heianese Japanese as they are to us today, guidebooks on their usage were naturally needed, even by the best and brightest of the Heianese nobles. Such guidebooks were understandably called Utamakura, a guide on the usage of poetic cushion words prior to certain nouns. A narrow sense to Utamakura, pillow phrases, popular names, phrases, or places suggestive of some fixed images or inviting some fixed words or phrases, rhetorical cliches freely created and profusely cited in Heianese Tanka. The term Utamakura originally meant a guidebook on the usage of those mysterious ancient terms called Makurakotoba, but it came to mean something different towards the end of Heian era. You may see the example, two examples to be exact, of a newer and narrow sense to Utamakura in the following Tanka. In 57577 Japanese syllables. 松島の小島の天の見る目かれ見る目なき身の袖ぬるは謎 Jokotoba start 松島 poetic pillow inviting such words as ama, fisherman, matsu, pine trees, tsuki, the moon, or chidori, plovers. No postpositional particle, possessive, the, of, belonging to. Ojima, poetic pillow, inviting such words as ama, fisherman, or sode, sleeves. No postpositional particle, possessive, the, of, belonging to, ama, noun, a fisherman. No postpositional particle, possessive, the, of, belonging to, mirume, noun, green, stringy, edible seaweed commonly found in Japanese seashore. Kare, verb, weather, get drained out. Jokotoba, end. A fisherman at the seashore of Ojima, Matsushima, devoid of any seaweed to pick up. Kakekotoba, start. A. Mirume, noun. Green, stringy, edible seaweed commonly found in Japanese seashore. B. Miru, verb, have a date with, have carnal knowledge of. Me, noun, an opportunity, possibility. Kakekotoba, end. Naki, verb, do not exist. Mi, noun, a position, circumstance. No, postpositional particle, possessive. Z, of, belonging to. So de, noun, sleeves. Nuru, verb, get wet. Wa, postpositional particle, subject. Nazo, adverb. Why? Why are his sleeves wet without any seaweed? Why are my sleeves wet without any chance of seeing you? Because you are so cold-hearted that I keep crying and wiping my tears off with my sleeves. In 57577 English words. A fisherman at Ojima Matsushima, at last to find no seaweed, the very image of myself, without any chance of rendezvous with you. Who's to blame for my wet sleeves? The two Utamakura in question, the bay of Matsushima and the island of Ojima in it, are both names of places in northeastern Japan, which, in the consciousness of Heianese nobles in Kyoto, were remote rural areas populated by rustics engaged in fishery and salt processing, whose sleeves were constantly wet with salty sea water as a natural consequence of their daily routine at sea. This image of sleeves wet with water routinely shifted in Heianese poetry into sleeves dripping with tears cried over one's sad circumstances, mostly over a love affair going wrong. This image became so popular among Heianese nobles that the proper name Ojima became a virtual pronoun instantly associated with wet sleeves of fishermen, thence to sad tears cried over you dripping from my lonely sleeves. This is the main concept of the Tanka above. As for Matsushima, its function as an introduction to the succeeding term ama is simply unnecessary and redundant, due to the presence of Ojima that also invites ama. A real poet can easily point out the fact that Matsushima no only works as a filler for the 5-letter space at the beginning of the poem that must otherwise be occupied by some meaningful phrase. Too much meaning may be a curse to this poem, which is mostly occupied by largely meaningless Utamakura, I should remind you. Such names or phrases suggestive of certain stereotyped imagery came to be called Utamakura ever since the end of Heian era. Not a few modern Japanese think Utamakura only refers to famous place names like Matsushima or Ojima, but authentic Utamakura also includes things or ideas much wider than proper names of famous places. For example, Ariake no Tsuki as an icon for sorrowful mind regretting the passage of something good. Tamoto no Tsuki as an overemphasized image for sleeves crystallized with tears to the extent that it reflects back the moonlight like a mirror. Kokoro no yami to refer to the absurd obsessions of otherwise clever parents dwelling upon the welfare of their children, and so on, and so on. Differences between Makurakotoba and Utamakura. An Utamakura is similar to a Makurakotoba in that they are both meant to point to some fixed words, phrases, or images, but there are some differences. While Makurakotoba were the products of Nara era and not freshly created in Heian era, Utamakura kept being produced in large numbers throughout the history of Tanka poetry. Makurakotoba always functions as a preceding adjective to some fixed nouns without meaning anything in itself, always coupled with certain nouns. In contrast, Utamakura can both be used as an introduction to a certain word or phrase and stand alone as an image enhancer without being coupled with any other term. An Utamakura, as a stale cliché, often functions as a key element of a set of background noise called Jokotoba to the succeeding echo of a ridiculously redundant word or a phrase which constitutes the brief main theme of the poem. The mentioning of an Utamakura can function as a trigger to some dramatic association stocked in the reader's literary repertoire, thereby overcoming the 31 letter limitations of a tanka to extend itself into wider imagery. If only the reader is well read in Heianese Japanese poetry, that is. On the other hand, Utamakura can be the worst culprit to make a tanka instantly stale at the moment of hearing it. For expert readers of tanka, it's too much suggestive of a certain end result to sound freshly interesting. Just like a crime suspense featuring an actor well known for his performance as a psychopath, it is ridiculously predictable. For novice readers, on the other hand, the mentioning of some particular place like Matsushima or Ojima feels at first daunting. They have to play the role of a detective to find out why the incident takes place at that particular location, and, in the end, nauseating when they find out the essential lack of any meaning in such place names. The vomiting fear of modern readers becomes at its maximum when they find the latter part of the poem ridiculously repeating the same word or phrase that appeared in the former part. In the case of the example tanka in question, the term mirume appears twice, wearing the same face, yet meaning two things. Mirume, seaweed, and mirume, a chance of rendezvous with you. Matsushima no Ojima no ama no mirume kare, mirume na kimi no sode nuru wa nazo. A fisherman at the seashore of Ojima Matsushima, devoid of any seaweed to pick up. Why are his sleeves wet without any seaweed? If the seashore of Ojima is devoid of mirume, seaweed, Ama, a fisherman, has nothing to pick up from the sea, wetting his sleeves. Yet his sleeves are still wet. Why? Because he has no mirume, a chance of meeting and mating with his lover. That is the stream of this tanka. Take note of the tidal change in the middle. The main idea of this poem is concentrated in the latter 7 phrases of mirume naki mi no sode nuru wa nazo. Why are his sleeves wet with no seaweed? because he has no chance of meeting and mating with his lover. The former part, 松島の小島の天の見る目かれ has no meaning at all except as a long, redundant introduction to the key word in the latter part, 見る目, a chance of rendezvous. By spending all 17 words of the former 575 part just to put in the kakekotoba, synonymous term of 見る目, seaweed. From a purely semantic point of view, the former 575 part of this tanka is so much wasted. Its main message, my sleeves are wet with tears because I have no chance of rendezvous with you, can simply be conveyed by the latter 77 part alone. Why bother citing Matsushima no Ojima no ama just to refer to Mirume? How absurdly redundant! That should be the natural reaction of modern readers to this largely meaningless former part. Such an introductory and largely meaningless part of Japanese tanka is called Jokotoba. A bad Jokotoba is characterized by awkward tatarabumi. Most tanka with Jokotoba sound simply absurd because they repeat the same term, kakekotoba, twice. Miru me kare, miru me na kimi no sode nuru wa nazo. Don't you feel they sound awkwardly redundant? Such obstinate repetition of the same sound might have been the favorite of ancient Japanese nobles, but definitely not to the taste of modern readers who thirst for pure meaning in preference to acoustic effects. This author, Jogo Noto, is simply antagonistic to such awkwardly redundant Jokotoba, which mindlessly repeat hackneyed kakekotoba. So much does he hate them that he has coined a derisive term for them, tatarabumi. Too many Japanese folks confuse such awkwardly redundant tatarabumi kakekotoba with much more sophisticated engo, semantically unrelated homonymous redundant association, but they are essentially different in that the former awkwardly display and repeats themselves, while the latter is hiding behind the misty veil of context, waiting to be discovered by sensitive readers' imagination. N.B. Tatara is a pair of Japanese foot bellows. Tatara o fumu means staggering in an awkward fashion. A good Jokotoba is characterized by exquisite kasumigake, while most Jokotoba tanka invite boredom and ridicule of most modern readers by tatarabumi. There do exist some better ones that neither repeats the awkwardly redundant kakekotoba nor waste away the precious 575 part in witless and meaningless introduction to the succeeding 77 part. This author, Jogo Noto, personally feels that they are the very ideal that a tanka poem could ever hope to be, and he crowns such exquisite Jokotoba with an honorable epithet of kasumigake, misty mix. Here comes my humble example. In 57577 Japanese syllables, 雨闇の雫に光る木漏れ日のさしも問わじな埋もれ木の宿 Jokotoba, start. Kakekotoba, start. A. Amayami, noun, the stoppage of rain. As the rain is gone. B. Ama, noun, the sky, heavens. Yami, noun, darkness, obscurity. Through the darkness of the sky. Kakekotoba, end. No postpositional particle, chime, at the time of, then. Shizuku, noun, drops of rain, cheers. Ni, postpositional particle, point, on, at. Hikaru, verb, shine, gleam. Komorebi, noun, sunshine coming through leaves of the trees. No postpositional particle, subject. Sunshine coming through, glittering on the drops of the rain. Kakekotoba, start. A. Sashi, verb, shine on, light up. Mo, postpositional particle, euphemism. B. Sashimo, adverb, likewise, that way. Kakekotoba, end. Jokotoba, end. Towa, verb, visit, drop in. Ji, auxiliary verb, negative supposition, will not. Na, postpositional particle, emotion. Umoregi, noun, a tree buried underground. No postpositional particle, likeness, just like, as though. Yado, noun, a residence, dwelling. Likewise will he visit? No, this lonely dwelling buried in oblivion. In 57577 English words. Raindrops left here and there, reflecting sunshine through leaves of the tree. Leave me alone, he did. Come to shine on me, will he? I keep wandering, buried in tearful leaves. Can you see where the Jokotoba starts and how it ends in the archaic Japanese version? I'd guess not, unless you're an exceptionally keen connoisseur of authentic Japanese tanka. For the Jokotoba part of the poem above, Amayami no shizuku ni hikaru komorebi no sashi is too exquisitely intertwined with the main conceptual part, Sashi mo toaji na umoregi no yado. See how two different meanings, komorebi no sashi, sunshine coming through leaves of the tree, and sashi mo toaji na, my lover will not pay me such a benevolent visit, coexist in a single term, sashimo, in seemingly unrelated manner. This is the authentic usage of engo. Compare this exquisitely eloquent yet unobtrusive kasumigake sashimo toajina with the awkwardly redundant tatarabumi mirume kare mirume naki mi no sode nuru wa nazo. The technical function of Jokotoba, mirume and sashi as an introduction to the succeeding term mirume and sashimo is no different between tatarabumi and kasumigake, but the way they present themselves are utterly different. The former is exhibitionistic, the latter cryptographic. But the essential difference between tatarabumi and kasumigake lies not in the degree of the exhibition, but in the weight of their poetic substance. While a Tatarabumi Jokotoba exists as a substanceless excuse for introducing something really meaningful later, a Kasumigake Jokotoba is a visually powerful overture and symbolic undertone of the whole poem, standing independent of, yet in perfect harmony with, its conceptual substance in the latter 7/7 part that is seamlessly connected with the preceding Jokotoba part. The border between visual overture and conceptual essence is so exquisitely merged as to be hardly distinguishable to all but scrutinizing eyes of an authentic reader. Hence the name of Kasumigake, misty mix. N.B. The terms Kasumigake and Tatarabumi are originally coined by Jogo Noto, so please don't expect these terms to be understood elsewhere. Well, how did you find them? Which one did you like better? As a poet, my answer has got to be Kasumigake. But how would you feel if you received such a misty entreaty from someone you haven't seen for quite some time? Personally, I might feel more inclined to agree to meet an awkwardly staggering woman than a poetically excellent one, for the latter makes me feel as if she could get married with her own poesy, even if left alone by a man. Artistic beauty seems strangely inconsistent with, if not antagonistic to, ordinary happiness of ordinary folks, making the world's greatest poetic anthologies full of pessimistic tones. Which would you prefer, a less than artistic but personally gratifying life, or a less than happy yet artistically elated one? In this respect, this author's answer is the latter. No wonder he finds or needs few friends outside the boundaries of his imaginative kingdom.